Mana Tech Talks, a podcast created to give a platform to the brightest minds in Miami to tell their story while we play Jenga. Today we have Demian Bellumio, a serial entrepreneur, investor, and community builder whose career spans from founding digital media and music tech ventures to launching wellness startups and fostering Miami's tech ecosystem. He's also the founder of Miami Tech Life, Miami's biggest community of tech founders and investors. In this episode, we'll walk through Demian's roots, his many ventures and successes, how he's seen Miami evolve, and where he believes the city is headed next. Welcome, Demi.
Thank you. And failures.
And failure. We'll get into your failures. So tell us, Demi, how was it growing up in Miami? Talk us through what was young Demi.
Yeah, I mean, I say I have one of the most incredible life stories, because I grew up along a city that grew up with me, or I grew up with the city, so my family came here, my parents came here for their honeymoon in 74, I think. We moved here in 78. I used to live on the beach on 78, on 5th, and those were tough times. I don't know, most people don't know how hard Miami was at that time with Mariel and all that. And I never knew why we moved back, but we moved back in 82 because it was really dangerous. I mean, people were getting killed on, in the shopping malls. But then we came back in 87, and since then I've been here. So I grew through the 90s in Miami. I grew up, in the beach when the beach was transforming itself. I also stayed here for college. So and until obviously the whole tech boom. So yeah, it's been an amazing ride, and I'm very proud, and I would never leave the city because it's part of me.
That's awesome. And funny that you mentioned the tech boom, because I wanted to get into that you've seen Miami flip through era after era. And at 2020, we had, Francis Suarez tweet after, or respond to someone saying that, why don't we bring Silicon Valley to Miami? And he said, how can I help? So after that, what changes did you really see in the city? More focused on the tech side, because we're here at the Tech Talk, but what are the biggest things you saw in that change from that moment?
The thing is hard for me to say that moment, because I've been doing tech in Miami since 1999, when it was Silicon Beach, right? So I've seen a lot of changes. Obviously, that moment, I mean, Francis, and by the way, Francis went to high school with me, so I known Francis for 30 years. So very funny that we're connected in that journey too. And I mean, what really happened is, we had an influx of people that never were in Miami. So, back when I was, starting in my, tech ventures back again, early 2000s, you went and raised money, in golf courses, and from people that probably never invested in tech and didn't know what it was to be, a tech investor. So you got really little, anything, you really didn't get much beyond money, right? And sometimes it was actually counterproductive, because it's probably the wrong investors for a tech company, right? People that may be used to investing in a factory or a building, it's probably not your best tech investor, right? So what happened after COVID is you started seeing the Jack Abrahams of the world, the Sherwin Pishabars of the world, the John Orangers of the world. They knew what it was to build tech companies, so they came with a lot more than money. And I was lucky that many of them have been my investors. And yeah, that was something that didn't exist before. I could go have lunch with Jack, and in one lunch, really change my perspective, or inspire me, or give me things that really helped me as a founder that before weren't here.
Okay, so definitely going the right way, you would say?
I mean, I always think we always go the right way. I mean, I don't.
There's no other way.
There's no other way. I mean, again, that's why I say, I mean, I don't know if you, I mean, the famous speech, commencement speech by Jobs, connecting the dots, right? I mean, connecting the dots backwards, you need all those things to fall in place to accomplish things. Today, there's so many. I mean, I was at a party this weekend with someone that came during COVID. She's one of the most important VCs in Europe. and I sent her "How can I help" shirt in 2021. She moved here, she's still here. And we were talking about, exactly that, 21 to now, what's happened. And what I heard over and over again is, how much the industry has grown. There was a guy that he's a CEO of a really large software company. He moved from New York here, and he said, when I moved here 4 or 5 years ago, I used to go to enterprise software meetups, and it was maybe 10 people, 20 people. Now it's 200 or 300, and they're all like pretty serious companies. So I think sometimes, in Miami, we like to be a little bit more negative or say, oh, it was a fad and people left. I think the city changed dramatically, thanks to Francis and thanks to a lot of people that really were cheerleaders. I mean, Citadel and Blackstone and all these funds coming, they come here, for a number of reasons. But one is because there is a sort of general elevation of the type of business that exists down here, and tech is definitely one of them.
That's great. So now jumping into more of your story and your past ventures, success stories or failure stories. You've built several companies before, from music tech and health tech with New Life. Looking back, what were the lessons you learned, the key decisions that made those ventures succeed or fail? What did you learn from all this?
You have 3 hours? So,
I guess your top lessons.
look, I mean, I think, being an entrepreneur is probably one of the hardest things that anybody could do. Being an entrepreneur 7 times,
Only 7 times?
yeah. So, it's definitely, it's something that, that you're sort of, it's, if it's not your life, you don't see it as your life passion, then, you're probably going to quit before you should quit. So, I mean, my main thing is, first of all, you have to really be sure that you are ready to do this, and I'm not saying only you and everything else, your family, your friends, because you're going to sacrifice pretty much everything to make this a success, right? And even today, it's even more, because now almost all these new ventures are tied to the founders in a way that before it wasn't even there, right? Like, it's like you and the company are one, and pretty much you are. So that, that really is I think one of the things that as a founder, you need to be 100% sure that this is where you're going to commit everything, and it's going to become who you are, and might be inseparable from who you are. 2 is, you need to surround yourselves with people that complement you, complement you and support you, because it's a very lonely journey. Um, you know, it's really hard mentally when if you're by yourself. So having someone to talk to and cheer you is really important. Um, and then you have to really know your shit, obviously now, like even Betterness, which is my last company, I'm accomplishing things that, I think are my best work ever. But if I look back, as connecting the dots, it's because I did all these things, and I think I'm probably the best person in the world to be doing what I'm doing. And that takes time. So, just having an idea and saying, oh, I'm going to do this. And, that, I mean, a lot of people could have ideas, right? But I mean, being able to execute an idea and put all the pieces together that it takes to build a company, a real company, is really hard.
So what gives you the energy to keep building time after time, company after company?
I think I see myself as an artist. So, like, what gives an artist the energy to create? I don't see it as work. But like, it's funny because I mean, I'm divorced now. Probably because I was an entrepreneur for so long, and it was so hard to deal with me. But sometimes I look at myself, I have a daughter, and I just spend a lot of time with her. But sometimes when I'm in, I guess Elon Musk calls it demon mode. When I'm in Demian mode or demon mode, I realize I'm like an artist. I'm like nothing exists. I'm obsessed. I could be, in the zone for a long time. I don't care about anything else. and you're sort of absorbed by that. So and that energy is really what keeps me going. I mean, it doesn't let me sleep at times, but I love it. I love it because it's what makes me feel that I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. That's inspiring, Damie mode.
Yeah.
So before we jump into Betterness and all you did or doing for Betterness, I want to talk about your building community era. So when you created Miami Tech Life, what was the spark that led to founding such a community, and what did you hope to achieve?
Yeah, so Miami Tech Life was really not really something I planned to do, but actually my community building started a long time before. I mean, back in 2010, I used to do SIME Miami. I don't know if you ever heard that. I used to fill the New World Symphony with basically 1,000 to 1,500 people. Tech event. I was inspired by my friends in Europe that were doing big events there, and I thought that we needed to do this to actually permeate some knowledge into the community. So Knight Foundation, when Matt Hagman was there, he used to give me some really nice grants, and I put together some really kick-ass events in the new world. 360 animation, bringing speakers from all over the world. And now what everybody's doing, bring people to Art Basel. That's what I used to do. I used to do right before Art Basel. I used to bring 1,500 people from all over the world to Miami to have a conversation about tech. We used to, one year we implanted someone's chip on stage. I had musicians. I even had Horace Gracie. I don't know if you know who Horace Gracie is. He's basically the founder of UFC and
Okay.
the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Had him on stage
Wow.
talking about him he was one of my childhood heroes. So I got to do some really interesting stuff. So that my community building has been for almost 2 decades.
Okay.
What happened with the COVID is I had a boat and I started inviting people to come on the boat and I started. It was called Miami Tech on the Bay. That was the original name of the chat. And then I started inviting people to the chat. And then when COVID happened, that turned into hundreds of people joining the chat. And I'm gonna say, well, I mean, I don't have a big boat, for that many people. But then what happened is I realized that, everybody was coming from out of town and asking, oh, where can I play tennis, or where can I, find out about, where to lease a place. So I'm like, okay, well, these people are not really, this is not like a networking chat. This is more about a live chat. So I called it Miami Tech Life. And I started creating channels around activities that people were asking me about. I think today it's about 30 some channels. And there's thousands and thousands, and they're still active, right? I mean, I pretty much have it there. I say my only rule is I kick out assholes, so that's really what I do. I try to get people not to spam because some people post across many channels. So that's really my most moderator role that I have. And I said, I was at a party this weekend, and a lot of people that sort of came around that time said, I met all my best friends through the chat in Miami. So I think, that's really rewarding. And as someone that really built community because I needed it as a entrepreneur in tech here, it was very lonely 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago. So I needed to build a community as a sort of way to bring it together. And, obviously there were other people doing it as well. It's very rewarding to still see it working and people getting value out of it.
Yeah, I mean, actually, when I arrived to Miami, or when I started with Mana, I guess 2022, I was first had a community role, and the first thing I heard about was Miami Tech Life.
Yeah.
They told me, get involved, go in the chats, go to the events, talk to people. So it was really my first step into the tech
Moishan was, he's still very active. He still posts in the chat. We have one called the Miami Tech OGs, and, and we even have both mayors. Now I guess I need to have more mayors because there's new mayors now.
There's new mayors.
So, and they're active, and I've seen a lot of problems got resolved, by people going and asking directly. I have this whole issue, not only to the mayors, but I'm saying generally to each other. So yeah, I think it's important because there's, it's really hard. And obviously COVID was actually, an interesting time because it brought so many people together. That dissipated over time. So it's still having something that keeps people connected. I think it's something that I try to, do what I can to keep it alive.
Also, I get the feeling, and you correct me because you have more experience in it, but here in Miami, the ecosystem is very more of collaborating and not competing. And I think that's something that Miami's community or tech community in general is better than New York or maybe San Francisco. Here, everyone just wants to work with each other instead of competing and being better than each other. I don't know if you've seen that at all, or it's just my perspective as a newbie here.
I don't know if it's ego. I just think Miami as a city is different, right? I think just the vibe is there. That's why I never left Miami, right? I mean, I honestly, I go to other cities and just the energy is not the, not the one that I have in Miami of yeah, collaboration and happiness and, being positive. You go to some, I mean, I have offices in San Francisco for 2 decades, and I was there a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I mean, you go to a meetup and everybody's like, what do you do? Who funded you? And this is, and it's like this sort of very shallow, you know, uh, behavior that, here it's like, who are you? And yeah, we talk about business, but it's more human. I mean, I guess in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, because of that, there's not this cutthroat type of feeling that in other cities you get.
Right. No, I get that same feeling, really. So let's jump into Betterness. You recently launched it. Can you explain what the platform does, what the problem you're trying to solve in wellness, and why now? Why Betterness now? Why was now the moment you decided to do it?
Yeah. So my so again, I'm that story starts a while back, right? So um I've been doing AI for a long time. I have patents on algorithms from 2008, when I was doing music algorithms. I worked in some pretty big data projects. I also did it from a startup perspective. I also worked at Accenture and Neoris, which are two large consulting companies, where I worked with very large healthcare companies and pharma companies. Um, and I'm also approaching 50 this year, next year. So, you are focused on your health, right? So the combination of all those things, and also the fact that my last company was a company called New Life, we built one of the basically fastest growing alternative mental health treatment companies in the US, where I got to build a full medical telemedicine company that served 10,000 patients. So I got to touch people's lives in a very dramatic way. So all that sort of led me to Betterness. Number one is because pretty much all the technology that we're using, I've been building for a long time. Um, it's my passion to help people live a better life, because of, you know, um, uh, again, the work that I did in the mental health, and I see how people are struggling. And as I said, me personally, I'm a biohacker. I have all the wearables, I track, I change my life for the better. I think I'm in best shape that I've been in a long, long time. So how to help other people do that is really what we're trying to do in Betterness. What's different about other platforms is that we sort of believe that the front line of health and wellness care is not a doctor, but is a coach or a gym or someone that touches someone's life in a pretty periodic basis. So we are equipping those businesses and partners with everything they need so they could take better care of their clients. So we offer labs, biomarker labs is the hot thing now. Everybody's measuring everything. We offer technology, so you could use AI to understand the data. We connect to every wearable. We're launching a big marketplace of products, from supplements to devices. And we are actually partnering with coaches and businesses to allow them to make more money, to create more passive revenue opportunities. So if you're a gym, like Barry's Miami, who's one of our close partners, they're going to be rolling out now Betterness to their customers so their customers could, get closer to berries, figure out how to integrate berries into their sort of more holistic wellness goal, and track things so they could actually see the results. So, you're a man and you want to optimize your testosterone and you want to know how exercise and all that fits. You get an account in Betterness through berries. You do labs every 2 or 3 months. You go and do strength training or whatever, exercise you do. And maybe you take some supplements, you change your diet, you sleep better. And hopefully over time, you actually will be able to objectively measure your improvements and make it easy to find all the pieces that you need to execute your wellness plan. So that's what we do. We're a B2B to C platform. That's sort of the technical term. So in essence, we give technology to our partners give it to their clients, and everybody sort of works together.
Nice. So, Betterness uses, you're the expert here, so please correct me with any of these terms. Betterness uses AI, human-centric wellness approach. How do you strike balance between technology and human care? And what does augmented wellness mean to you and to users?
Yeah, so augmented wellness is, it's a term that we trademarked. Hopefully, we get the final trademark in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's the concept. I mean, within AI, augmentation or augmented is actually a term that is used to describe when certain machines increase the capability of a human rather than replace it, right? So we sort of took that term and we made it more, more broadly used in the sense that, yeah, it's technology that helps both the user and the coach or the business or the product of wellness, you know, connect in a deeper way, right? So, I mean, our bodies are really machines, and there's very complex machines. So, uh, the more we understand about it, the better we could, do whatever we need to do to improve it or even save it, right? Um, so yeah, the role of technology there is really about being there to support, to educate, to connect the dots across things that are really hard to connect, even for a professional. I mean, to these models today and the technology today, can have the capacity to connect things that even the best doctor in the world cannot see, right? Because it's not just about the knowledge; it's about seeing the patterns and seeing the patterns in a continuous basis, right? Like there's no doctor that is monitoring a person 24/7, right? But I mean, our wellness journey is constant. I mean, we go to sleep, we wake up, our decisions of what we eat and how much exercise we do and the amount of stress that we do and when we take a break, all those things are constant. So there's no doctor today that could be supporting you. Even you have all the money in the world and you could pay Peter Attia for the concierge medicine program and spend a couple $100,000 a year. He still cannot support you 24/7. So we think that's the role of technology. And yeah, the idea is to use technology to allow the user to find the solution that they need and also the provider to be able to scale it so they can help more people.
Right. It almost sounds like the ultimate taking care of yourself, and you're facilitating that for all the users. So what are your hopes and expectations for how Betterness will impact not just individuals, but the whole community here in Miami?
Well, I think Miami has the chance to become the wellness capital of the world. We're sort of are already, but it's very fragmented. So actually, what Betterness is doing, we just did a Betterness Fest, and it was a celebration of all the biggest brands in Miami in one place. And I think that we could export to other cities. Because wellness is a fragmented market. First of all, because the clinical side and the non-clinical is fragmented, right? A doctor and a gym don't speak to each other, right? And right now, what people are realizing is they need to speak to each other. I mean, I was just at a longevity dinner with some of the top clinical people in Miami, and people are realizing that you know uh, exercise is medicine, food is medicine, right? And actually, if you do that early enough and you combine that with tracking some of your biomarkers, like, your blood levels, your cortisol levels, your HSRP levels, all these biomarkers levels that tell us what's going on within us. And you combine that with maybe MRI scans that could scan your body a couple, once a year to see if there's any growth or anything like that. If you do that early enough, the chances of you actually developing a serious cancer goes down by like 90%. Because the biggest problem with cancer is when you do not detect things.
Yeah, undetected. Right.
So the measuring plus lifestyle hacks, not hacks, but lifestyle changes that lead you to rest better, sleep, food, and exercise, and reduce stress is really the magic thing in wellness. You don't need to be, spending money on a bunch of things. And things is hard to do, so that's where, technology and the partners come in to help you.
Right. So actually, feeding off of that, since you are this sort of wellness guru, let's say, what are some of the things that you personally do to recharge, to disconnect? What sport or activity? What do you do here in Miami that keeps you centered?
Yeah, so I have a number of I would say hacks. First of all, I do blood work almost every month, and that has given me a map of things that I need to do. I never used to take supplements, so I now take probably 10 to 15 supplements a day that have really not only changed how I feel, but I have more energy now that I think I've had in a long time, even without having really good sleep, because I'm sort of so focused on my company and waking up at whatever time. So I think that definitely has helped me. I cycle and I spin. That's sort of my sport, because again, I'm old. So although I ran my half marathon, my first half marathon last year, hopefully I do it again now in January here, the Miami Marathon. So I do try to push myself. Cycling, running is the two things I do. And for mental health, I do a lot of meditation. I also do ketamine therapy, so to help me, focus in a way that I cannot do on my own. And what else? And then I sauna, cold plunge. I do, I do some non-traditional also ceremonies. With Tamascal. I don't know if you know what Tamascal is. When you get
I don't know if
into
I want to know. Do I?
it's like a sauna times 3. So you
Okay.
get together with 20, 30 people in a hut with hot stones,
Okay.
and you go there for 2 hours. And it's really tough. One of
Sounds
the
like it.
hardest things. Yeah.
I can't even do normal sauna. So
Yeah. So this is I that I do. I used to think I was a good I could handle sauna. When I went to Tamascal, I realized yeah that there are harder things.
okay.
And then kiteboarding, I also do kite surfing.
Okay. You have a really big balance of activities to do.
And then, as you know, I boat every week.
That keeps your mind connected to nature, which is good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sound healing. I do a lot of sound healing
They like sound healing, yeah.
as well. So yeah, a lot of hacks or a lot of things. Being in this industry has brought me some of the most amazing people into my life that care about helping other people. So it's been great to be able to learn from them and have them in the boat and do some healing for me and my friends and or people and expose people to those practices.
Right. I feel like you've done a thorough research on all these wellness activities. So we're closing up. So closing up, saying, how can listeners learn more about Betterness? How can they get involved? How can they connect with you?
Well, we need to make this fall, but Betterness AI. So betterness.ai is where you could go. You could sign up. It's free. Get a free account. If you're a partner, you could also get an account. A partner meaning, you have customers in the wellness space, from a product to a provider. Sign up. Users also sign up. Connect your wearables. Upload your own labs. If you do labs with, your doctor or any provider, buy labs from us. We're launching our biological age panel, which is only $49 compared to hundreds of dollars for any other provider. So if you really want to know how old you are biologically, go get that panel.
Interesting.
And actually, it will give you a really good set of biomarkers to really know a baseline of where you are from, like, inflammation and blood and liver and a bunch of different things, glucose. So I would say, invest in that. And then, after you do that, our AI, which is called Betty, or Betterness Intelligence, will guide you. And she's pretty smart.
Okay, love it. So now you know, betterness.ai, get involved. But thank you so much, Demi, for this awesome episode and sharing your story. I'll see you all in the next episode.
Thank you.